Hello guys, welcome to Learning the Basics. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at logical operators. What is a logical operator and what is it used for? Now, logical operators are used for combining multiple operands condition for complementing the evaluation of any original condition that is under consideration. There are three types of logical operators. One, we have the AND operator, we have the OR operator, and we have the NOT operator. The AND operator, there must be two operands or more than two operands in which we can use for our logical operations. The two inputs here are the A and the B. If the input A is 0 and the B is 0, the AND operator says that the outputs of these two inputs being 0, 0 should be 0, which is false. Now the second line says that the first input is 0 while the second input is 1. And the logical operator AND says that if there is anything like this, it should return 0. Likewise, when the first input is 1 and the second input is 0, the output should be false. So 0 is false, okay? If you see 0, just know that it is false. Now, this is what we call a truth table for only AND operation. Now, coming down to the last one, the first input is 1, the second input is 1. So the truth table says that the output should be 1. Why? Because both inputs are all 1. The output is going to be 1. If you have a logical operation that you want to perform and you use an AND statement, just know that the two conditions must be true before it will return true. But if the two conditions are false, or one of the conditions are false, then the other one true, it will return false. So both conditions must be true before it will return true. That's for the AND operator. And we use this two ampersand sign to represent the AND operator. Moving forward, we have the OR operator. The OR operator says that if we have both inputs being 0, the output will definitely be 0. But if there is truth in any of the inputs, which is any one, remember I said 1 is true and 0 is false. So the AND operator says that if there is any truth in any of the first input or the last input, there's going to be a truth outcome. So if there is truth in any of the first or second outputs, there is definitely going to be a true output. That is why you see 0 here, but you see 1 here. That is why it gave us 1, which is true. And the first input here is 1, the second is 0, it also gave us true. Now the last one says the first input is 1 and the second input is 1, so it will give us, definitely to give us 1. Okay, that is that for all gates. Now moving downwards, we have the NOT logical operator. Now this NOT logical operator, what it does, that it negates anything that is the input. So negation means turning it opposite of what it is. So we have this 0 here, the input 0 here, and when we apply this NOT signal, this NOT operator, it's turned this to 1. So the opposite of 0, opposite of false is true. Likewise, the opposite of true is false. So NOT operator negates or turn our inputs to its opposite equivalent. Let's go and code all these logical operators. So the first one that we are going to code here is going to be the AND gate, okay, or the AND logical operator. Now we will still maintain our decision making statements, which is the if else statement, okay, which we used in our last video on relational operators. The going with this is we are going to be using integer. We want to evaluate these numbers, okay, whether number one, the value of number one, which is 12, whether it is this or this, okay. So with the help of our relational operator, which is the greater than sign, the equality sign, and all those operators that we talked on our last video, we will employ it here, or we will make use of it here. So let's check if number one is equal to number two, and number two is equal to number three. So you can see where we used this AND sign. So from here to here are or is a relational database, relational operator. From here to here is also using the relational operator. Now the output, the evaluation, the result of this and the result of this makes use of this AND. So this first operand here, or this first result here, must come out true, and this one also must come out true before this true here will be printed out. But if one of this and this comes out false, or both of them comes out false, else will be printed out. Now let's do some analysis here. We said that number one is equal to number two, which is false. So definitely false is going to be printed out. And also we also said here that number two is equal to number three, which is also false. So both of them are false. Going back to our AND database, AND, where is it? Them are false, which is 0 0. 0 is going to come out, which is false. Okay, so let us run this. You can see false came out because both of them are false. Now let's make this first one to be true. So number one should be greater than number two, because number one is 12 and number two is 11. So number one is greater than number two. So let's run this. You can see it's still false. It's still false. Now let us go to the truth table for the AND gate. You can see when the first one is true but the second one is false, it also returns false to us. Now let us make this second input to be true. Now number two should be greater than number three, which is true. So number one, which is 12, is greater than number two, which is 11, and number two, which is 11, is greater than number three, which is 10. So this should print out true for us. Okay, you can see true on the display. That means both conditions were met. True and true. Both conditions were true. That is why it printed out true for us. So you can see how to use this AND sign with our relational operators to evaluate whether both of these inputs are true, or both of them are wrong, or one of them is true or not. Okay, so what I want us to take home from this AND operation is that both of these inputs, the first one and the second one, must be true. Your both inputs must be true for the output to be true. If any of the inputs is false, then forget, it's going to be false. That is only for AND gates. That is only for AND operator. Let's move to the second one, which is the OR operator. Let me change this AND to OR. This is the symbol or the operator for OR operator. Now what I'm actually trying to do here is that, or what this our expression here or condition here is saying is that if number 1 is greater than number 2, or number 2 is greater than number 3, it should print this, else it should print this. So using this OR operator, let me bring this up here. Now using this OR operator, both of these inputs, if they are all false, both of the inputs, if they are all false, then definitely the output is going to be false, which the else statement is going to be printed out. But if any of the inputs has a truth value or a true value, then the output is going to be true. Let's go back to our editor. Let's run this code. Definitely it's going to print true. Yeah, it's going to print true, which is this. Now why? Because both of these inputs are all true. Now let me change this to less than, which is false. Number 1 is not less than number 2. You can see number 1 is 12, while number 2 is 11. So number 1 is not less than. So this is going to come out 0, which is false. But this is going to come out true because number 2 is actually greater than number 1. Because we are using the OR statement, this will also print out true. But if we were to be using the AND statement, this will print out false for us. Let's check. You can see it's printed out true for us. That means this is true, while this one is false. So 0, this one here is 0, and this one here is 1. Let's go to our table and see what is happening. You can see 0 and 1. You can see it gave us 1. So it's the same. That is why it's printed out this true. Now let's make both to be false. Number 1 is not less than number 2. Likewise, number 2 is not less than number 1. So both of them being false, false is going to print false for us, which is the else statement. Let's run this. You can see it's printed out the false statement. So both of these conditions are not true. None of it is true. Okay, both of them are 0 and 0. That is why this else printed out. If you do not understand this, drop a comment on the comment box. I will explain to you to my best of knowledge. Okay, but if you try and run or try to do your own examples, definitely I think you will get used to it. Now coming to the last one, which is the NOT operator. Now this is how to use the NOT operator. Let me clear this. Now we said if number 1 is not great. Okay, let's say if number 1 is not. So this is how to use the NOT operator. First of all, Remember what a not operator is. A not operator negates the input, like it turns the input to its opposite equivalent. So if it is 0, the not operator will turn it into 1. If it is 1, it will turn it into a 0. Now let's use it here. Not operator, which is this exclamation mark. Now if not number 1 is less than number 2, then what I'm saying here is that if not number 1 is less than number 2, which says if number 1 is not less than number 2, it should print true. So let's run this first. You can see it gave us true. Let's go back. Now what this says is that, okay, let's remove this not. Let's rerun it. You can see it gave us false. So when our output here is false, and then we now add this negation sign, which will turn that our output to be true. So here our output is false, but this negation sign, this not sign or not operator, changed our false to be true. That is why true was printed out. Let's go again. Let me remove this not negation sign, then run this. Then you can see it's false. Okay, but let's come back here. Let me put it back, run it again. You can see it's true. So going with this condition here, it says that whenever any condition, any input is 0, the not operator is going to turn it into 1, which is true. So when we ran that our program without the not operator, it gave us 0. But when we added the not operator, it gave us 1. So it changed our output from 0 to 1. Now let us go here and remove this. Let's remove this here. So number 1 is definitely greater than number 2, right? So this is going to give us true. Normally this is true, okay? But when you want to change it, just put this not sign here. Just put this not sign here. You will see that our true is going to be false. You can see it's now false. So that is why this is called logical operator. So is the work done here or the operation done here are logical, okay? So if you want to negate any output, if you want to change any output to its opposite equivalent, you will just use this not sign for it. Now let me do again. If not number 1 is not equal to, you can actually do same thing like this, which we have done in our relational operator. If number 1 is not equal to number 2 or number 3, something like this. Yeah, we did something like this. Okay, you can see it's true because number 1 is not equal to number 3. But this is a relational operator. This is not logical right now. So guys, this is how to use the logical operators in our C program. If you like this video, please kindly subscribe. Thank you very much. Like and share.